Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the podcast. If you're watching, I've made a slight change to my background. And I say slight change, I've literally moved a blanket. So there's not much of a change. But I've been in this like home switch up mood at the moment where I keep wanting to change things, add things, buy new things. Home stuff isn't cheap, but I went into H&M Home the other day and I just was like, oh my god, there's so many nice things. And I refrained from buying everything, but I did buy a few new bits because I just couldn't help myself. So yeah, I got some nice like candles and things like that. Love it. I love buying new things for my flat. I think one thing you forget when you move anywhere is just how long it takes to buy bits unless you have loads and loads of money. I moved into this flat with very, very little amount of things because before I just had a bedroom and now I have a whole flat, and it was hard to find bits that work together, that look nice together, that I liked, and that are a little bit different. So it's taken a bit of time, but I've got some new bits now and it's looking good. I'm also feeling a lot more positive this week. I think I've just got my mojo back. Sometimes you have to take a step back from what you're doing, analyze it, figure out what's going on, and then take a step forward. Because often if you're getting lost or overwhelmed with what you're doing, sometimes you really do have to take a step back. It sounds so like counterproductive, but actually it's more productive than you think. I spent last week not really doing a lot. I felt like I didn't do a lot of work. I didn't really feel like I was on top of things, but I actually feel like it's benefited me by just taking a bit of a rest and just figuring out what I want to do. I'm very lucky in that sense to be able to do that. If you're working in an office or you can't do that, just maybe spend some evenings journaling and taking a step back from things, because it can really help to figure out what you're doing. Even if it's like a dilemma with friends or stuff like that, take a step away from it maybe for a week and figure out where you want to go with it, because sometimes it can be quite intense. But summer's here and we're here for that. Like, summer is well and truly here. Although today it's very cloudy, so it's not really giving summer, but it's warm. I was sat here with my hair down and I was like, yeah, I'm going to record this episode. And then I realised how much I was sweating. And I was like, how am I sweating this much? It's not that hot out. But obviously I can't open the door or the window whilst I am recording. So as soon as I can, it will be opened. But I was actually thinking about this the other day, about how we often in life tend to do things we hate. And I'm not talking in terms of jobs, because we often have to do jobs that we hate in order to get to where we want to be. That's very common. We all know that's the thing. I've done that. It's not fun sometimes, but it helps you get to where you want to be. It's just part of life. But in terms of our social lives, our free time, so many of us, not me included because I think I've changed, but so many people in general do tend to do things they hate. And why are you doing these things that you hate? Well, we are going to discuss today the things that you might be doing, why you hate doing them, why are you doing them, because it's just not the way in which you want to live your life, is it? You don't want to be doing things that you don't enjoy. Now, the reason why I want to talk about this is because over the last couple of years, actually, when I first moved to London, I think a lot has changed with how I feel about the life I live. So when I moved to London, I was single. It was the first time I've been single since I was about 21. And I moved to London when I was 25, about to turn 26. And obviously pandemic was happening, and then towards like mid 2021 we kind of got a bit more life back, and then there was that, like, was Christmas lockdown? Was that one before? Oh, I don't even know. It was the third lockdown when I moved here. Anyway, regardless, we don't need to worry about that. But I basically just wanted to live life, and I think a lot of people did at that time, and I did in 2021 go out a lot. I went out a lot. I got drunk, and I didn't really think about like the consumption of anything. I was just like, oh, if there's an opportunity to go out, I'll go out. Or, I never really said no, even though I don't really enjoy nights out. I don't really find them quite the same as they used to be. Maybe that's because I'm getting older. Maybe that's just because I don't enjoy it so much anymore. I think naturally as you get older, some people cling on to it and love it and others don't. And you grow up and you find new interests, and going out and getting drunk isn't something that you want to do all the time. But I got drunk a fair amount of times. I wouldn't say I was like crazy, but if there was an opportunity to go out, I would probably join people. And I went on a few nights out and things like that. And if I'm honest, I'm glad I did it, because it got me out there and got me like doing things in London, and definitely got me feeling a little bit more like I had a life, especially after the pandemic. But there were so many moments where I was like hungover or felt like crap, and I was like, this isn't worth it. Like, I hate being hungover. It's one of the worst things ever. I don't know how anyone can put themselves through that every week. It's just not for me. I think as I've got older, I've got worse hangovers, and I know what makes me like gives me a bad hangover. Do you know one thing I hate? One thing that's hard, right? I don't mind going out and getting drunk. I have to preface that, because I don't. But it's like the pressurized like club situations where you're drinking loads and you feel like you should get really drunk. Those kind of things I don't really enjoy. But then saying that, I could be dating someone. I dated someone where we'd go out and get drunk, and next day I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so hungover. But to me, that kind of hangover was like worth it, because I was dating someone that was really exciting and it was fun. And I'm not saying any of the times that I've been out in London before haven't been exciting and fun, but I am a little bit more cautious about what I do when it comes to alcohol now, because I don't find it as enjoyable. I am definitely someone who likes to have a few drinks, and then if I end up going on a night out or end up in a club, love that, because it's spontaneous, it's fun. But I just don't really like getting drunk. I literally like don't drink alcohol unless I'm with friends, or I'm on a date, or it's, I don't know, I'm going out for something. I really don't go crazy on the alcohol. I don't really drink alcohol during the week. I don't know why I'm giving you a whole spiel about my alcohol habits, but basically over the years, sorry, I'm really uncomfortable. Over the years, especially the last couple of years, I've realized that alcohol is something that we often feel pressurized to be drinking, be a part of. Going out is a very, very big thing, and I've just realised it's not for me. It's not that I don't enjoy it every now and then, because I do, but it's not something that crosses my mind constantly, like, oh, I need to have a drink. I just don't think about it anymore, and I like that I live a life where alcohol isn't at the forefront of my mind. But I'm not saying that, lots of people have that at the forefront of their mind, but I don't really, I kind of like see people that don't drink that much or don't drink at all, and I think, do you know what? I definitely could do that. I 100% could do that, because I don't have the craving for like alcohol all the time. But I do love a good glass of Prosecco and rosé. I love a good drink, so it's not like it's anyway, that's not what we were talking about. I've just gone on a full ramble about how I don't drink that much alcohol. But often with alcohol, which what I was going to say is that there's a lot of pressure around getting drunk and being drunk, and how much you should drink and how drunk you should get. Like, for instance, I don't like doing shots. I find them horrible. Like, it doesn't sit right with me. But if I was in a group of people and they're all doing shots and I said I didn't want one, sometimes people can be a bit like, come on, just do it. And I don't think there's any harm in just being like, no, I don't want to do it. I don't like shots. Like, it doesn't make me feel good. You can still get drunk other ways. You don't need to do shots. I went away with a friend for her Hindu very recently. And I said to her, like, I don't really drink a lot. Like, I will drink, obviously, but I really don't drink a lot. I'm not very good on a hangover. I know what I'm like. So therefore, I wouldn't want to ruin a holiday or a situation being super hungover, because I know what I'm like. And I have had some terrible hangovers. So, and she was like, yeah, no, it's not an issue. So I feel like when you set your boundaries with things that you feel uncomfortable with or don't sit right with you anymore, then, you're in a better headspace. You don't necessarily have to stop completely doing things you hate, But setting boundaries with those things is very important, and like knowing where the line is and making sure the people around you know where the line is. Because like I don't hate drinking alcohol, but I don't love it. So I don't do it very often. But when I'm in a situation, I probably would like enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? But I think a lot of the things that we do that we supposedly like hate, if you will, we'll put in quotation marks, hate, are things that it almost comes from an insecurity. I'm not saying this for everyone, but I often feel like when we do things we hate, there's some sort of insecurity that's stopping us from not doing those things. For instance, does it make you less attractive? Will it mean that you're boring? And all of these things come from building up your self-love and your self-worth, and understanding that just because you're not doing something doesn't mean to say that you are boring. I, for a while, really did feel like I was boring because I spent so much time at home, and I felt boring. I felt like I wasn't fun. I felt bad about it, even though it's something I really enjoy. And I think it was because I was getting opinions where it was like, oh, I don't know how you could stay in your room all day. And I was a bit like, well, first of all, this is my job. But second of all, like, I'm okay with it. And at the end of the day, if you're okay with spending time at home and you enjoy it and you enjoy spending those days at home, you do you. Anyone else's opinion is their opinion. It has nothing to do with you. But often we take those kind of opinions and they kind of seep into us, and we then feel uncomfortable. We then feel like we are boring, and it's more about taking something you love and being confident and setting that boundary and be like, do you know what? I fucking love spending time at home on my own. I don't mind. If you have an opinion about it, I don't really care. I'm not going to stop doing something I love to please you because it means nothing. If someone thinks you are boring, clearly they have an issue, and maybe they're insecure because they think you're boring for doing something you enjoy. You're never boring if you do something you enjoy. Your life is your life. Life is too short. Live a life where you do things you enjoy. I genuinely love what I do in my free time because I enjoy those things and I have fun with it, and I love to go to Pilates in an evening. That's enjoyable to me. I also love to sit on the sofa and watch TV and watch series and watch podcasts. I love doing that. I also absolutely love putting an outfit together and taking pictures and videos of those outfits. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that I love to do that the next person might not love to do. I spend a lot of time in this flat alone, and I enjoy that. I don't have any issues with that. To some people, that would seem kind of weird, boring. What are you doing that for? Do I care? No, absolutely not. One thing I think is kind of an interesting thought. This is a thought I had. I genuinely think if you're not living life to your fullest and doing what you want to do, you're not living your truest you. You're living a different, like a controlled version of you. And I came up with this little analogy, which I feel like hopefully will help you guys understand what I'm kind of getting at here. You wouldn't date a guy you hate or be friends with someone you hate, so why would you do things you hate? Let me repeat. You wouldn't date a guy that you hate, you wouldn't be friends with someone you hate, so why are you doing things you hate? Why are you doing things you hate? What is the reason? That's something you should think about yourself eternally. What are the things you hate? Why are you doing them? What is the reason for them? Sometimes it can be really, really small, like, oh, I won't see this friend if I don't do this. Or, I don't know, I won't have any friends if I don't do this. Or, I'm going to get severely judged, etc., etc. There's so many different things. And honestly, I find that if you're doing things that you really hate, you don't enjoy, you almost begin to just not enjoy life as much because you're doing things that you're just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. I don't enjoy this. Like when I was living somewhere that I hated living, I got to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I was so unbelievably unhappy and and down and anxious. And I was so stuck because I didn't want to move home, because moving home wasn't going to benefit me. It was almost going to make life really, really difficult at that moment in time. And I was a bit early for me to find a new flat. And in the end, I just ended up finding a new flat because I was like, I would rather move out early than be in this position because I hate being here. And I mean, that's quite a drastic situation. You're probably not going to be in those kind of situations. But if you really think about it, if there's a guy in your life or a girl, a friend, you hate them. You really hate them. You instantly will get rid of them. You're like, nope, I don't want you in my life. That's not benefiting me. But then you have your actual life, your own personal life, and you're doing things you don't like. And you're just letting that happen. But you wouldn't let it happen in other aspects of your life. So it's just something to think about. It's just something to brainstorm, figure out. But remember that, like, the life you live, you've got this opportunity to live life and have a good time. So why not do things you actually enjoy? But it is also quite difficult because it's hard to get past that potential insecurity where you're like, I am worried that I won't have any friends, or I'm worried people are going to judge me, or I'm worried that this boy won't find me attractive. If a boy doesn't find you attractive because of one little thing, they are not the person for you. I'm pretty sure I went on a date once and I said, I don't really drink that much. I like a drink, but I don't really drink that much. I don't really go out that much. And this boy fully judged me. Granted, I wasn't interested in this boy either. Like, I really wasn't. Kind of just had to deal with the date. And by the end, he clearly wasn't, because he wasn't feeling it either. But the judgment on his face when I said I didn't really go out was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But then I thought, you know what? The person you're supposed to be with, your friends you're supposed to have, will appreciate you for you. They won't even care. The things that you enjoy and, the things you love doing and the things you hate doing that you don't do, people won't care. They won't care. But the people that do care are the people you don't need in your life. And it almost helps you, because if someone is going to judge you for something you really enjoy doing, I mean, obviously there's certain things that are probably not so good, like if you're like doing drugs all the time, or etc, etc. So, there are certain things that there is a bit more of like a reason for people to be a bit like, I don't know if you should do that. But for the most part, general life, obviously, do drugs if you want to do drugs. I'm talking at like the worst case scenario situation. Anyway, I think you just have to remember that, like, your life is your life. And if you are genuinely worried about what people will think if you don't do that certain thing, or you do things you love, then maybe look at the bigger picture and figure out why you feel like that. Where is that coming from? Why do you feel uncomfortable at the thought of someone judging you for that? Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that that's an easy task at all, but it's just something to think about if you are someone who's doing things that you don't enjoy doing, and the main reason is because you feel uncomfortable, or you're worried about what someone might think. What someone might think is something that you should never worry about, because people will judge. There's always people that are going to judge, but all that matters is that the people in your life support whatever you're doing and will support you and be there for you. If I could give you one bit of advice, I think it would be to just do life how you want to do it. Life is short. We have this opportunity to do so many different things these days and live our truest life and experience new things and try new things. And I think life can be so much more enjoyable when you do things you really enjoy. And I know I keep going on about this and the whole episode's been very, repetitive, so I do apologize. But a few things that you can do that, or just think about maybe with certain things, or just life in general, that maybe push you towards doing things that you don't enjoy. The number one thing is to not feel the pressure. People will forever pressurize you into doing things. I think it depends on the situation and depends who you're friends with, etc. Like, I've been pressurized to do things at uni before, or people will be like, oh, please come out. I really want you to come out. Don't feel the pressure. If you don't want to go out, don't go out. I have been out before when I've not felt like going out, gone out, knew I'd have a bad time, had a bad time, then gone home. And I'm like, I knew I wasn't feeling it, yet I still went out. And there was one time I was having a bit of a shit evening. Like, it got to the evening, I was like, we went for dinner and then we were going out and like the club was dead. I was like, I'm not staying here. You know, you instantly know. I was like, I'm not staying here. And I just said to my friend, I'm going home. And she was like, no. Why are you doing this? No. I was like, I'm going home. I'd already booked the Uber. I was like, I'm not staying here. Like, I don't feel in the mood. Like, my mood's completely dropped. If I stay here, I can't pretend. I'm so bad at pretending that I'm having a good time when I'm not. Like, I'm just not going to do it. So if I'm not having a good time, I won't pretend that I'm having a good time. And when I've been on holidays before with people that I'm no longer friends with, again, when they're like, oh, I'm having a good time. And I'm like, no, I'm not having a good time. So if someone's pressurizing you to stay, to go out, don't do it if you don't want to do it. It's just not worth it. Enjoy life how you want to enjoy life. Don't say yes to things you ultimately don't want to do, which is, again, what I said before. If you don't want to do it, don't say yes. It's just that simple. I feel like a lot of people get worried about what people will say if they say no. Like, you know, if a friend's having a birthday dinner and you don't really want to go, but you feel like you should say yes. So you say yes, and it gets closer to it and you think of an excuse as to why you can't go. It's almost like a cop-out way of saying it. You might as well say at the start, I'm really not in the mood for this. Like, I'm not feeling great, and I'd rather not. Or, you know, there's so many different things you could say. Explain. Like, I think often we think that being honest isn't the best option, but sometimes in situations when you don't want to do something, but you say yes, and then you make an excuse, and it's just not worth it. Just be honest with your friends, people around you. If you don't want to go to something, don't go. Don't say yes just for the sake of it. If someone judges you for your choices, that's on them, not you, which we did say earlier. I don't think it's worth living a life where you're worried about what people might say. I just think that, you know, the people that judge are people that are deeply insecure. It's genuinely like a thought I've had recently. And I've spoken to a few people about this because I knew someone who was incredibly judgy. And it made me feel very uncomfortable because I don't think you should judge someone when you don't know them, first of all. Not that I feel like you should judge someone, but when you don't know them, you can't give a full judgment because you don't know them. So why would you sit here and be like, oh, why is she doing that? You don't know her, so why would you judge her? Right? Obviously, we're all entitled to our own opinions, and you're more than welcome to have your own opinion and say what you want to say. And we all judge certain things at certain times. Like, I'm not saying not to judge. We all do it. But I'm saying when you're constantly judging people, those people are the type of people that have other things going on that they probably need to think about. And what's that saying? Oh, I can't remember what it is. You're going to therapy because the other person didn't go to therapy, or something like that, or something along those lines. I can't remember, but it's like often these people will just they'll push on these opinions and these judgments or whatever, and you then have to deal with it, even though you don't have those judgments because they're just constantly saying them. But I just don't think those kind of people are worth it. Like, if someone is going to genuinely judge you because, for example, you don't want to go out, you don't like drinking, or maybe you don't like drinking alcohol, you come out but you don't want to drink any alcohol, they're genuinely going to judge you. They need to grow up, because like, we're in a world now where there's nothing wrong if you don't want to drink alcohol. There's also nothing wrong if you want to drink alcohol, and there's also totally okay to be going on a night out and not drink. I don't know why people think that you have to go out and you have to drink. I have been pressured into it. Do you know what? One year, New Year's, not New Year's of 2023, so going into 2022, I went to a friend's. At the time, I went to hers when she was having like a little gathering. There was only like 5 of us. And it was about 10 p.m. by the time we started drinking. And I kid you not, I was literally downing these drinks. I don't know why everything I've gone on about today is about alcohol. I'm so sorry. And I was so drunk. I don't remember most of the night because I literally drank so much in such a short period of time. I was like, I must be drunk by New Year's. I don't know why I was in that headspace. Granted, at this time of my life, I was in a bit of a weird headspace anyway. But yeah. So now I won't do that. I'm not going to drink myself into oblivion just for the sake of being drunk. It's not worth it. I'm a lightweight anyway, so you can imagine how well that went. I was so badly hungover the next day, and I was like, don't know why I did this to myself. Really don't know why I did this to myself. This year, when New Year's happened, I went into the new year feeling so fresh. And it was so good. Because you know what I did on New Year's? If any of you don't follow me or don't know, I spent New Year's on my own in my flat, and I watched on the TV. I had a bottle of champagne to myself. I think I drank most of it, and then I went to bed, and I really enjoyed it because I genuinely just spent the evening doing something I wanted to do and I felt comfortable doing. I don't want to go into a massive busy place and get drunk. Like, that isn't for me. I don't want to do that. So it was really nice. And actually, I remember telling someone, was it the guy I was dating before? Maybe. And I was like, oh yeah, I spent New Year's on my own. And he was like, why? I was like, because I wanted to. And the judgment was like, what the fuck? Why did you do that? New Year's, again, it's one of those things. If you want to do it, however you want to do it, do it. I don't feel like there's any need to go out and make it something if you don't want to make it something. Just do it how you want to do it, which is another example of why you should just do life how you want to do life, because then you genuinely have a good time. Like that New Year's I spent on my own, I enjoyed so much more than the New Year's I spent with actual people getting drunk. So it says a lot. I always loved a New Year's at home. I don't really like going out. I'd happily have like a New Year's where you're with people all at home, and you know, but you just enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? And the last one I'm going to end off with is, don't change your boundaries to make someone like you. Yeah, simple as. Don't change your boundaries to make someone like you. Because at the end of the day, the people that are supposed to be in your life will be in your life. If someone doesn't like you because you have a boundary in place, that's on them. That is on them. Because some people just don't feel comfortable when people have boundaries, or when people set boundaries. It's almost like they take it personally, or they feel uncomfortable by it, and then they have to push back, and they push back in a way in which they either guilt trip you or make you feel shit about it. Again, people you don't want in your life. So to conclude on this episode, live your truest life. Do things you genuinely enjoy. Stop doing things you hate. Doing things you hate will get you nowhere. Almost like make you behind, because you've got to get to the point with life where you genuinely are just like, do you know what? Those things, I don't want them anymore. I want to live my best life. And I don't know for sure, but I think maybe it's because I'm getting a bit older. I'm getting towards 30s, and apparently the 30s are the best time of your life. The best era. We'll go with era. Also, I think I've grown up a lot just because I spend a lot of time alone, and, you know, I have bills to pay that I have to pay for myself. And anyway, you don't need to know that. But yeah, remember, you've still got time to stop doing things you hate. You really do. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Sorry it's a bit of a shorter one. I am trying to bring some little snippet-y kind of podcast eps, and then also have ones that are a little bit more in depth, and chat to you guys. But again, if you've got any requests for any topics, send me a message. Send the message on the Still Got Time podcast Instagram. You can also follow the Still Got Time podcast TikTok. And if you want to follow me and see what I'm up to, All my social media is I am Charlotte Olivia on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. So yeah, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you all next week. Bye!